Hi friends, welcome to TechieMit. Good to see you after a long time. Hope all of you must be fine. So, in continuation to our Java related topics, uh, I have today on your plate related to exception handling in Java. So, what is basically exception and handling in Java? So, let's go for it. So, just to remind that do keep liking, subscribing, commenting on #TechieMit. So, now let's move to the point. So exception hierarchy class diagram. So as you can see in front of your screen, there is an exception hierarchy class diagram. So first of all, you need to know that object is the superclass of all the exceptions or all the classes in Java. So it is always at the topmost in the hierarchy. So object, it is followed by throwable. As you can see in the diagram, this is object is followed by a throwable, and now throwable has two subclasses, sorry, two like classes, uh, that is errors and exception. So errors are what? Errors are like stack overflow error, out of memory error. So it is, errors are something that are beyond the scope of programmer to means during the execution of program, it is out of the programmer's scope to handle it. That are errors. So some external steps need to be taken to handle the errors. Exceptions are like they can handle during the execution of program, or you can include code that can handle the exception in Java. So in exception we have like runtime exception and checked exception. Runtime exception are those exceptions that basically occur during at a runtime while during execution of the program. So some examples are like arithmetic exception, null pointer exceptions, and index after bound exceptions. So these are some examples of runtime exception you can see in front of the screen. Followed by that, we have checked exception. In checked exception, we have SQL exception and IO exception. So these are like huge like examples of checked exception. Now let's move forward. So basically, what is exception? Its meaning. Exception is an event occurs during execution of program, causing abnormal termination of program. So if under normal flow is there, consider the situation that normal flow allows the program to just uh, go without any exception, and so there is some input we can accept from user, and it will display some output. That is the normal flow. But if during the course of your execution of program there are some situation in which exception might occur, then they should be handled. These are nothing but exceptions. They abnormally terminate the program, and we don't get the desired output. So SQL exception, string index of the bound, null pointer exception are some examples of exception. Errors are what? So errors are usually caused by serious problems that are outside the control of program, such as running out of memory or system crash. So that is beyond the programmer's control during the program execution. So these are errors. So out of memory error is there. Stack overflow error is there. So basically they are related to memory and errors. So yeah, they can also be uh, get ridden off or taken care of, but that's not under the exception handling concept. There are some other mechanisms to handle that. So the basically the point to remember is that um, exceptions handling logic is within the program, and errors handling logic or error handling mechanism something beyond the program uh, domain or definition, you can say. Let's move further. So followed by that, we have checked exception. So checked exception is basically an exception that can be checked during compilation time. If programming code throws a checked exception, it will be handled within the program in try catch construct, or explicitly specified that the method might throw an exception using the throws keyword. So checked exception is something that the compiler does check during the compilation time. So during compilation only time that can be checked, so they are called as checked exception. As you go by as per the literally English meaning, they are the checked exceptions. If programming code throws checked exception, it will handle using the try catch construct. So you either you can handle it using the try catch, or you can specify it by using the method using the throws keyword. We'll see in detail in depth later what is this throws and this. But just to remember, think that checked exception is a compile time exception. So during compilation, they can be checked. So IO exception, SQL exception, plus not found exception, file not found exception are some examples of checked exception in Java. Let's move further. Unchecked exception. Now, unchecked exception are exception that occurs at runtime. Hence, they cannot be checked during compilation time. So, if programming code throws unchecked exception, it will result in abnormal termination of the program. They can explicitly be thrown using the throw keyword. So, you can use throw keyword to throw an unchecked exception. Arithmetic exception, null pointer exception, date time exception, array index out of bound exception, string index out of bound exception are some examples of checked exception. There is some mistake over here. There are, it is basically a checked exception. I forgot to mention as their unchecked exception. So basically these are examples of unchecked exception. So now let's move further. Try block. So as I told that exception can be handled using the programming logic within the program itself. So we have some mechanism for handling the exception. So try block is one of the fundamental block. So what it does, try block is used to indicate that the block might contain exceptions. So in order to declare exceptions or conditions that can cause exception are specified in the try block. So syntax of so I've just taken this for demo purpose or just to clarify your meaning. Uh, the syntax of try catch flannel try, and that we have exception. These, so in this area it might cause exception. Then they are handled by the catch block, uh, exception handling message that you need to read, or exception handling code it will contain, and finally it contains a cleanup code. So try can optionally followed by catch or finally. So try block, it can be followed either by catch or by finally. You can't just have try block, otherwise it will throw compile time error. It must have either catch or finally. Also, since Java 7, you can catch multiple exception in catch block using the pipe operator. So the point to be noted is that try may followed by catch block. We also have try with resources, in which in the try block we just declare the new resource that is that can be like a file input stream or any kind of uh, uh, IO input. It is instantiated in the try block. So that is try with resources, and so we have that in the try block. Now that is try with resources, but over there also the catch block is mandatorily you need to put over there. So that is try with resources. After that we have catch block. So catch block is used to catch the exception that are thrown in the try block. So argument type, exception type declares the type of exception that the handler can handle and must be the name of the class that inherits from throwable class. So exception type, you can specify means what type of exception it might occur. So you have to specify in the catch, means let's say it's a null pointer exception. You have to denote the class and null pointer exception ex, and ex dot get message system dot println will get the message of that specific exception, and it will print if you want in detail you can use the ex dot print stack trace method. So there are a lot of methods that we will go in some other video, but to just grab the concept, it is that catch block handles the exception that is thrown by the try block. So the exception handler is basically a catch block, and So that's it must always be followed by try block. You cannot have the only try block or only catch block. So that is the case. Now let's move further. Finally block. So finally block, what is a finally block? Finally block is the block that is guaranteed to be executed regardless of the exception that might occur in the try block. Finally block can contain messages that the user need to give before program terminates. Mostly why we need finally block. So if there are some messages that just before the program terminates you have to give, or you just contain the cleanup code, then they might be indicated in the finally block. So cleanup code means like some open resources are there in the try block. You need to close them. They can be indicated in the finally block, as I can see in the code snippet that I've shown over here. Now let's move further. Through keyword. So through keyword is used, as I said earlier, it is used to explicitly throw an exception. And point to be noted is that we may throw checked, unchecked, as well as user-defined exception using the throw keyword. So now what is user-defined exception? User-defined exception is that Java allows us to define an exception, custom exception. Uh, so it might be like a specific situation uh, arises and you need to handle that exception. That you can define by the user. So it can be any, like suppose if you want you take input from the user, you want to restrict them to only to take even numbers input. That can be done. You can design a custom class and apply some logic over there to handle only handle the user defined exception. If some other odd number or other number occurs, it will throw an exception. That is a user defined exception. So using through you can handle you can specify all the types of exception, checked, unchecked, as well as user defined exception. So the in the code simple, I'll just open the file uh, using a file reader. I have taken the buffer reader input as the input, and I will explicitly throw the exception. That is a file not found. That is a checked exception, and I have catch it using the catch block. So point to be noted is that we throw exception. It can throw either checked, unchecked, or user defined exception, and you specify using throw. See, throw new is like it generates a new instance of that particular class. So throw followed by new followed by the class name. That is the syntax. Throws. So throws keyword is used to declare an exception. Finally, block can contain messages that a user needs to be give before program termination. Mostly used to clean up open resources in try block. It might optionally be called catch block or directly with try block. So that indicate. So throws keyword is to declare that an exception might be thrown by the enclosing method. So like for example, I've shown that method throws IO exception. So it indicates that this method, that is user defined exception method, it might throw an IO exception. And below I have cast the specified using the throw new IO exception. So they can be used in conjunction, throws and throw. But throw is specifically to declare an exception. Point to be noted. So difference between throws and throw. Throw, using throw you may throw an exception explicitly, and through to declare an exception you have to follow in the method name. That is the construct or the rule. Only in the method you have to indicate using the throws. So basically that was all about related to exception handling. So in this topic today we covered about what is basically what do we basically mean by exception handling in Java. What are the various keywords? So what are the various is the hierarchical diagram? What is the basically the hierarchical diagram? What are errors? What are exceptions? What are the difference between them? What are the keywords like try, catch, finally, throws we saw. So this video was specifically meant to give the introduction related to exception handling. Do keep liking, subscribing, #TechieMit. More to come on related to core Java basics and other related videos. So bye for now.